Saving $53 each month sounds smart, right? That tiny habit feels safe, responsible, grown up. But when you run the actual math, that safe plan quietly locks most people into being broke for decades. Stay with me, because in a few minutes you will see the exact point where saving stops helping and starts holding you back, and how to flip it. Most of us were given one rule: work hard, spend less than you earn, save the rest. Parents repeat it, school posters repeat it, banks love it, because your deposits become their fuel. You follow the rule, cut a few treats, watch your balance crawl up, and something feels off. Rent jumps, groceries jump, your paycheck creeps, your savings account drips, and the gap between what things cost and what you have keeps widening. You are doing the right thing, yet your life does not feel any safer. That is not your imagination, it is the math. Years ago, in a book called Your Money or Your Life, Vicki Robin pointed out a brutal truth. If your money does not earn more than the rising cost of life, you are running on a treadmill with a smiley face painted on it. And in The Automatic Millionaire, David Bach showed something similar from another angle. The people who actually got rich did not just save. They turned their money into workers. They did not stop at the piggy bank. So let me show you how this looks through one person. Meet Harry. Harry works in a call center for an internet company. He spends his days answering angry emails and fixing broken routers over chat. After taxes, fees, and a small retirement deduction he barely notices, he brings home $2,893 each month. He is not lazy. He is not blowing cash on luxury bags or sports cars. When he finally got scared enough about money, he did what everyone told him. He became good with saving. He cut down eating out. He canceled one subscription. He stopped upgrading his phone every year. At the end of the first month of trying, his checking account was $167 higher than usual. By month 3, he had scraped together $524 in a separate savings account. On paper, that looks like progress. But watch how the math plays out if he keeps following the saving rule as his main strategy. Harry keeps pushing. After 12 months of effort, his savings account shows $6,319. The bank pays him something like 2% interest. That sounds okay until you run the numbers. 2% interest on $6,319 is about $126 in a whole year. Meanwhile, his rent went up $57 a month. That is $684 more in a year for the exact same apartment. So the reward for being a disciplined saver is a tiny trickle of interest, while his real-life cost jumps more than 5 times that amount. You might feel that in your own life. You save a little. Then groceries punch you in the face. Insurance creeps up. Anything you gained gets eaten before it can change your reality. Here is the key idea of this entire video. Saving money is not bad, but saving money as your final strategy keeps you poor, because cash in a low-interest account grows slower than the things you need to buy. You are stacking sandbags while the water rises faster than your pile. Harry did not see that at first. For him, $6,000 in the bank felt huge. No one in his family ever had that much in one place. Yet when his car needed a repair for $1,219 and his dentist told him he needed a crown that would cost $783, the number on the screen suddenly felt tiny again. 2 hits, and more than a third of his hard work would vanish. That is when the doubt crept in. He started asking the question you might be asking right now. If I keep doing this for 10 years, where does it actually get me? Harry went looking for answers. He found an old copy of The Richest Man in Babylon at a thrift store, sitting on a shelf for $1. That book was written nearly a century ago, but one line grabbed him. It said your money should labor for you, not sit, not hide. Labor. For the first time, something clicked. Saving was not the finish line. Saving was just the waiting room. The goal was to move money from sitting to working as soon as it was safe. So Harry did something simple. He sat down one Saturday afternoon with a notebook and gave every dollar in his life a job. He drew 3 boxes. Box 1 he called breathing. That held 3 months of basic bills: rent, food, utilities, transport. If everything collapsed, that box would let him breathe for 90 days. Box 2 he called big stuff. That was for car repairs, dental work, and the annoying surprises that always show up. Box 3 he called the engine. That was the important one. Every overflow dollar, once Box 1 and Box 2 were full enough, would go into the engine, and the engine's only job was this: leave the bank and buy things that grow faster than prices. Before we jump into the math, notice something. Harry did not throw saving in the trash. He changed its role. Saving became a short stop, not a final home. Here is where the numbers get uncomfortable. Harry wanted to know if this actually mattered, or if it was just another money mindset slogan. So he made two versions of himself on paper. Saver Harry keeps doing what he has been told. He saves $200 every month for 30 years in a normal savings account, earning 2%. That sounds reasonable. Builder Harry takes a different path. He still saves $200 every month. He still builds his breathing money and his big stuff box. But once those hit his target, every extra $200 leaves the bank and goes into simple growth assets. Think broad-based funds that own tiny pieces of many companies, the kind long-term investors often use. He assumes those grow, on average, at around 7% a year over long periods. Not every month, not every year. On average, over decades. Now watch the result. Saver Harry, after 30 years of $200 a month at 2%, ends up with just under $100,000. $98,000 and some change. 3 decades of discipline. $98,000. Builder Harry, with the same $200 each month at 7%, ends with roughly $244,000. Same job, same savings habit, same monthly sacrifice. More than double the result. That is the math that keeps quiet when people say, just save. The difference between 2% and 7% over 30 years is the difference between maybe paying off the house a little early and having a real shot at freedom. This is what Morgan Housel kept running into while writing The Psychology of Money. The people who ended up wealthy were not the ones with the highest income or the fanciest budget. They were the ones who let time and growth do most of the heavy lifting. They did not stop at saving. They crossed the bridge from saver to owner, back to Harry. Once he saw those numbers on paper, he realized something painful. If he waited until he had, say, $50,000 sitting safely in cash before investing anything, he would lose the most valuable ingredient he had: time. Those early years, when the amounts feel small and boring, are exactly when growth matters most. So he changed his system in a way that you can copy tonight. First, he set a clear breathing target. He calculated that 3 bare bones months would cost him $5,173. That became Box 1's goal. Until that number was hit, every extra dollar went there. No guilt, no FOMO, just stability. Second, he picked a big stuff target. He added a rough car repair, a medical hit, and one Life Punches Me event. He landed on $3,491. That was Box 2's job. Third, he created one rule for turning saving into building. Whenever both those boxes together crossed $9,000, any extra money over that line would be pushed into the engine. No feelings, no guessing. He set up a recurring move on the 15th of each month. Whatever the overflow was that day, it left the low-interest world and entered the growth world. Here is what changed over the next 12 months. Month 1. With the new system, nothing magical happened. He was still filling Box 1. By the end of the month, his breathing money sat at $3,109. He felt less scared about losing his job. By month 4, he crossed the breathing target and started filling big stuff. There was a moment in month 5 when a friend invited him on a weekend trip. Old Harry would have said yes and drained some savings. New Harry looked at the boxes, saw that big stuff was not full, and said no without drama. The boxes made the decision, not his mood. By month 9, both safety boxes together finally crossed that $9,000 line. At that point, Box 3 woke up. The engine turned on. On the 15th, Harry checked his account. There was $9,327 in his 2 safety boxes combined. So $327 got pulled out and moved into his engine. That engine was just a basic investment account tied to a broad index. Nothing fancy, no gambling. He pressed confirm. For the first time in his life, some of his saved dollars stopped sitting and started working. A year later, something wild happened. His savings boxes were still around the same 9 to 10,000 range, bouncing a little with life. But his engine account, which had started from practically nothing, had grown to $4,381. That money now had its own tiny snowball rolling. Dividends and growth were adding to his effort. He was no longer the only one doing the pushing. Here is the part most people miss, and it is the real answer to why saving money keeps you poor. When you only save, your progress line is straight. You trade time and energy for money, move some of it to a safe place, and it sits there. The only way to go faster is to work harder or cut more. Your money never helps. When you cross the bridge into ownership, the line bends. At first, it bends so slightly you can barely see it. Then, years later, the curve becomes obvious. Your effort still matters, but it is not the only driver. Growth joins the team. Harry began to notice this in small ways. One month, his engine account grew by $119 without him touching it. That was more than his entire first month of saving had been back when he started. Another month, the market dipped and his engine went down $200. Old Harry would have panicked. New Harry looked at his breathing box, saw the safety there, and shrugged. He was thinking in decades now, not days. If you are listening to this and feeling a mix of frustration and hope, that is good. Frustration because you may have spent years being an excellent saver and still feel stuck. Hope, because the problem is not you. It is the math of leaving your money in a place that cannot outrun rising prices. So what do you do with this? First, keep a small part of the old rule. You still need that breathing space. 3 months of bare-bones costs and simple savings is not a trap. It is a shock absorber. Second, give your surplus a promotion. Once your safety and big stuff boxes are where they need to be, stop letting extra cash pile up in low-interest land. Pick one simple growth vehicle you understand. Something diversified, boring, and long-term. Set a date each month like the 15th, where you move the overflow into that engine automatically. Third, change the way you measure progress. Do not just stare at your savings balance, watch the engine line as well. At first, it will look small and silly. Then, years later, it will be the part that actually buys your freedom. Harry will never brag about being a genius investor. He still works at the same call center. He still brings home $2,893 each month. But there is a difference now. If you looked at his accounts today, you would see that his savings boxes hover around $10,000, while his engine has quietly grown past $37,419. That number did not appear overnight. It came from one decision. Stop treating saving as the destination. Start treating it as the bridge. You do not have to become a Wall Street expert. You do not have to love charts or enjoy risk. You only need to understand this one idea. If your money sits forever in a low-growth corner, the math keeps you poor. If a growing slice of your money crosses the bridge into ownership, time starts fighting for you instead of against you. Tonight, you can sketch your own 3 boxes on a piece of paper. Figure out your breathing number. Figure out your big stuff number. Then, choose the line where everything above that starts working, not sitting. You have already done the hard part. You know how to save. Now it is time to let your money do what it was supposed to do all along. Not just sit there and look safe. Get out there.